Morning, everybody. Welcome back to another video. What I wanted to talk a little bit about today has to do with the last book, the Entering the Fourth Dimensional Matrix, and within that book, I made uh, a lot of references to what is coming, kind of how things are going to be changing, and why they need to change and such. And people I've been talking to recently have been asking questions about, well, I guess you could say predictions. When are these things going to happen? What kind of time frame are we looking at? And I realize that not everybody has an understanding of time, what it is and how it works. I've done other videos on time and I've done a lot of talking in my books because time is a very important concept. So I'm just going to kind of hit on that briefly for those that may be questioning about the time frames. And that is, we have to get past the concept of time is strictly linear. In other words, A, B, C, D, G. You can go from A to G. You don't have to go everything in between. So when I'm talking about these things that are going to be coming, the changes that are happening now and the changes that are going to be happening in the future, as far as, at least from my own experiences, I can't give you a definitive time frame at all. We could wake up in the morning and be 10 years, 50 years, 100 years into the future of what we would call the future. We could be on a completely different timeline tomorrow without maybe having the knowledge of having switched there from someplace else. It's simply as though we've always been there. So you have to not worry about the concept of time. How long is it going to be before these things happening? Basically, how much time do I have left? How much time do I have to change or make these decisions? How long can I enjoy my 3D life before I have to make a decision? And that's actually kind of a religious concept. Within the religions, they like to have predictions. They like to have time frames so that they can basically do the things they want to do for as long as they can do them. And then when they have to get serious on their journey, then they'll make that decision. Remember what the Bible mentions about the idea that God can come as a thief in the night. You don't know. Even the Father, so to speak, doesn't know the time frames, at least in that reference. So when you look at time, remember that time is a creation. Time is a creation in order for us to have an experience. An experience has a beginning and an end. That's the only way you can have an experience. If you are aware of existing, meaning that you're aware from moment to moment, time exists. There's a lot of talk about other groups that are being outside of time, and they aren't in that extent. Time is there, but it's how you can play with it, how you can manipulate it, because remember, all time exists simultaneously. It's like a DVD on a movie on a DVD. The entire movie is there. You can tune into any part of it you want at any time, jump around and do it. And that's what reality is. So when it comes to time frames and predictions, get that idea out of your head. There are some people who can do that maybe and have some very accurate predictions, but remember as well that what they're telling you is based entirely upon the assumption that everything and everyone will maintain the same path that they are on. In other words, they can see where you are going if you go down this freeway, but now when you suddenly have exits all over the place, you don't know what exit somebody's going to get off at. So step outside of worrying about the linear time frame, when it's going to happen. Focus on what it is you want to have happen. Focus on the world, the reality, the timeline, where you want to go. How do you want that future to play out? As I said in the other video, move past the fears, but focus on where you want to be, in the future, so to speak, and that you can, so you can switch when it comes time. Because remember, as I mentioned in the video on sin and karma, that karma is really just about making reality shifts. Yeah, because you make different thoughts, actions, and decisions. And it's the same thing with what we call the future. The future timeline is there, but there are multiple paths to getting to the results of that timeline. And what we are choosing as we go along are those different paths that we're going to take. So for those of you who question, yes, time exists, it was a creation, and part of me feels that maybe time was the only thing that was ever really created in order for us to experience reality. So don't worry about that, the future stuff. Now the other thing I was talking a lot about the medical field, and they have to change. And recently, I've seen some more updates on where we're going in that direction. I mentioned that the medical field itself is going to have to get away from being symptomatic. They treat symptoms so that you can have patients for life. Where is going to be changing to where you were going to be dealing with the causes of the problems. And right now, one of the big issues that is coming up has to deal with the concept of stem cell research and how stem cells are being used. It has gone from being something that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars and you have to leave the country to now that you have places within this country, clinics where you can go and get the various types of stem cells put into your body. And we're not talking about your own, which are old stem cells and really aren't going to do you any good because they're not being rejuvenated. What they're doing is they're using what they call 0-day stem cells. They're getting them from the cesarean sections. It's again the mothers and babies, everybody is tested completely. It's all done with permission. They test them medically, make sure there's no diseases or issues or problems, and then they take the stem cells from the umbilical cord and the afterbirths and so on, and they use those, they filter them, they eliminate those that are not, I guess, in the condition they want them to be. And they're considered 0-day stem cells, which means that they have not been programmed. They're like brand new cells coming in, and your body will be able to program them to do what they need to do in the repairs. They mentioned the idea that, you know, someone who is, say, in their, I guess, 70s and 80s, I think it was, their stem cells are only rejuvenating and multiplying about 200 times, whereas the stem cells from a 0-day, can multiply 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000,000 times from what they were into any place or shape that they can need to be used within the body. So the idea is if you have damage or repairs in your body, your cells have aged, and say it takes 10,000, 100,000 stem cells to make a repair, but your body is only replicating 200, you're never going to be able to do the repairs that are needed in your body. So the idea of these new stem cells is now they're doing with an IV injection, like an IV push, to where you're getting billions of these and they're going through your body, through wherever your blood flows, which means they're going to affect every area of your body. And part of that has to do with the intention of the individual. Doubts, fears, you're never going to work. It's not going to work for you very well. But it's the idea of, remember, your programming. So you're going in mentally with what do you want, what do you need, where do you want these cells to focus, what do you want them to do, and they're going to be able to go and make repairs within the body. I mean, there's some pretty amazing claims out there and testimonies from people who've had it done and it's worked for them. But the point of this is one of those steps that I mentioned. I know in the book I talked a lot about CRISPR, which is the manipulating the DNA within the babies before they're born and changing it that way. But this is another step in helping people who are already older to have changes in healing within their body, dealing with the causes of some of their symptoms and their issues and their problems. They consider it a one-time thing. You do it once and then you're done, because most of us are going to die before those cells, those stem cells, would get to be 80 years old and not be replicating very much anymore. But the point of this is that they're starting, and these clinics are popping up around the country, and there's also taking it outside of clinics to where there are centers now that they have sales reps to go around. They set up groups of people to do it, and they can send these people out from these little centers to do the injections for the people. They can do it either in the joints or into the bloodstream, depending on what you need and what you want. And that idea, again, is getting the cost down from hundreds of thousands of dollars down to, it's still expensive, but it's a lot more reasonable than what it was. They're also trying to do is try to deliver these stem cells, at least through medical research, to various areas of the body to get them to focus simply on one area of the body. And the reason I'm bringing that up is at some point that's going to get into the other area of medical research I've told you that has to change, and that is the use of vibrational therapy. At some point they're going to find that they'll be able to do a little more localized or centralized focus of these cells when they learn to start using the vibrational therapy. And that's going to allow the cells to replicate and repair in the area of the body where it's needed. Because remember, every part of your body, every organ in your body is a different vibration, a different frequency. And when you tap into those, you can cure, you can kill, you can do all kinds of things. And that's been known for hundreds of years. As I mentioned in the book, even back in the Greek days, they used to find that if they played certain musical instruments for their wounded soldiers, they healed faster. Again, vibration. And I mentioned in the book, think how far we would be if we continued that research from the time of the Greeks to now, how far we would be in our vibrational therapy. So anyway, this phase of the stem cell stuff is becoming very big now, getting bigger, I should say. And once they start moving it into vibrational therapy, that may be the next step of it in order to focus it, make it more intense, and to make it work even faster and better for people. And then at some point, they're going to be focusing on the emotional causes of these problems, which is the whole underlying issue. And I mentioned that that is where medical has to go. We have to get to the point of being able to focus on the emotional causes of our issues and problems. And once we do that and combine with all these other things, the medical field is going to be dramatically shifted, and has to. And again, overnight, years, I don't know. I know it's coming. I know it's going to happen, but that's where we're going. So I just kind of wanted to bring that out. I don't do a lot of research on that kind of stuff because I like to see what the creator of the universe sends my way for me to look at it and see, because then I know that's the part that it's important, and that's what I need to focus on. Anyway, a couple updates, folks. Have yourself a great day.